Hello there and welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo to present. Top stories in the news. NKOMBO apologizes as Harry KALABA urges government to formalize KACHASU brewing. President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA challenged to lift the oath of secrecy of the DPP. 8 suspects nabbed over the abduction of a mobile money agent, PAMELA CHISUMPA. In international news, Mali accuses France of spying over drone footage of mass grave. And in sports news, Liverpool to play twice in the final week of the Premier League. Hello once again, another news in detail. The Albinism Foundation of Zambia says it has flown 5 children with albinism who are victims of the rampant attacks to the United States of America to get prosthetic arms. Speaking during an awareness conference on the challenges affecting persons with albinism Wednesday, a disability rights activist, John Chitty, regrets that persons with albinism continue to be victims of violence. He has since called for heightened sensitization on the need to uphold the rights of persons with albinism. More in this report.
According to the Zambia Statistics Agency ZAMSTATS, Zambia has over 30,000 people with albinism. The lives of this group of people is, however, constantly at risk as they are allegedly being hunted down for suspected ritual activities. The Albinism Foundation of Zambia has called for enhanced efforts from stakeholders to reduce these incidents, stating that this is a violation of human rights. Speaking during a conference aimed at raising awareness on the challenges being faced by this group of people on Wednesday, disability rights advocate Mr. John Chitty says the organization has currently flown out 5 children whose arms were amputated to the United States of America in order for them to be given prosthetic arms.
The 5 kids are coming from different parts. We have one child who is coming from Chasefu, from Eastern Province. He's just about 10 years. He was attacked and he lost a finger. And we have another child who is coming from Northern Province, Mpurungu. She's the youngest. She's 3 years now. She was attacked when she was 2. She lost the left hand. And we have another boy who is coming from Northern Province again, Mpurungu. He's about 12 years. He also lost the hand. He was attacked and the left hand was chopped off. And also another girl from Chama who was attacked and the hand was chopped off. We don't know, the hands, they seem to be, I don't know, the hands, they seem to be on demand because many of the victims are losing hands. Here in Zambia, we have got cases where the uncle is is prosecuted. We have one case from Northern Province where the uncle has been even sentenced to some years in prison because he was involved in the attack. We have incidents where the father, the husband, so it becomes very tricky for the cases to be reported in such a way.
Meanwhile, under the same sun, a partner organization says the church will step in providing psychological support to the victims. Organization founder Mr. Peter Ash was speaking during the same conference.
Sometimes for survivors in rural areas, it's difficult for them to access proper or frequent psychological care. We do believe that the churches can also play a role. When we were in Chongwei, we spoke at a church there which pledged their support for people with albinism in the community. And in my experience in Tanzania, we found out that if we engage in local churches, Pastors, church leaders, church members can also take in people with albinism who are marginalized, who may be orphans. So we believe that church members and leaders can play a part in giving spiritual counseling, which can also assist in their recovery.
The organizations further add that there is need to make sunscreen readily available for free in public hospitals, as the same is currently fetching between 75 kwacha to 300 kwacha depending on the size of the bottle, which most people cannot afford on a regular basis. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security has disclosed that progress has been made in investigations of the mobile money agent PAMELA CHISUMPA, which are currently underway. Minister in charge Jack Mwimbo has disclosed that police have apprehended 8 suspects to help in the ongoing investigations relating to the abduction of PAMELA CHISUMPA, 22. During a press briefing, Mr. Mwimbo says the 8 suspects are linked to other cases, which include mobile money scams, theft from motor vehicles, and drug-related crimes. In addition, the minister has expressed concern about the careless use of social media by some citizens. Meanwhile, Mr. Mwimbo has assured the general public that the Zambia police is doing everything possible to address every crime in the country.
Matter comes to rest and perpetrators brought to book. I wish to inform the nation that the police have since recovered 2 dual SIM mobile phones belonging to the victim. Furthermore, police have apprehended 8 suspects to help with the ongoing investigations. The 8 suspects are also linked to other cases which include mobile money scams, theft from motor vehicles, and drug-related crimes. Fearing that other people are now fabricating stories which are not credible. And such stories are not assisting the nation in resolving the alleged matters of kidnappings in this country. Where citizens exercise their rights and freedoms, it is essential for every citizen to enjoy these liberties with responsibility. Lately, social media has been flooded with derogatory statements against the head of state and statements that have potential to generate ethnic agitation. Such personal expressions go beyond the rights and freedoms the state, under the leadership of His Excellency, Mr. HAKAINDE HICHILEMA, has provided.
The Human Rights Commission has condemned actions by local government and rural development minister NKOMBO of forcing a woman and her children to consume KACHASU, a local illicit beer. Commission Chairperson Madford Mwandenga says the minister's conduct is arbitrary and a violation of the women's and her children's human rights. More in the following report.
During an impromptu visit to Garden Compound in Lusaka Tuesday, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development NKOMBO forced a brewer of a locally brewed drink called KACHASU and her children to drink the unregulated alcoholic beverage that she was brewing illegally. This action has triggered debates among the general public condemning the minister's action. The move has also attracted the attention of some human rights defenders who has described it as inhuman and barbaric. Wednesday, the Media Network for Child Rights and Development Director Henry Kabwe has condemned the action, challenging the minister to apologize to the family and the general populace.
Has to respect the poor and ensure that they are treated with dignity, which they deserve. There is this perception in Zambia that if a person is poor, a family is poor, we can actually embarrass them in public and show them in the public. So we need to ensure that poor people are protected from such abuse, because junta is destroying the lives of people, but it is licensed and packaged by various companies. And KACHASU has been there for a long time. We've never heard about a KACHASU one. So we need to ensure that we treat this matter, holistically, and ensure that, address it in a humane way, in order for us to protect the rights of these people.
In a statement made available to Camnet News Wednesday, Human Rights Commission Chairperson Matford Mwandenga says the minister's conduct is arbitrary and a violation of the women's and their children's human rights. In the same vein, Transparency International Zambia (TIZ) has urged the Zambia police to pursue the matter in view of Section 231 of the Penal Code.
Same vein, we would like to call upon the Zambia Police Service to consider taking a keen interest in this matter, because we believe that the provisions of Section 231 of the Penal Code could have been breached in this instance, and so they really should take an interest to see to it that Honorable NKOMBO is held accountable for his actions. We would like to once again remind politicians to treat citizens with respect, because again, these are the citizens that put them into power, and in many respects it means that those citizens are their bosses, and they should therefore treat them with dignity and treat them with the respect that they deserve. It is disappointing that Honorable NKOMBO conducted himself in the manner that he did, but we don't think that it is too late for him to redeem himself, and we do hope that this is a call that he is going to heed.
Meanwhile, some concerned citizens have taken it to social media to express their opinion over the same, waiting for a possible apology from Mr. Gary NKOMBO. Camnet News will keep monitoring how things unfold henceforth. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, opposition Democratic Party President HICHILEMA has advised the government to work with the KACHASU brewers in formalizing the sector. Speaking to Camnet TV when he visited Garden Compound Wednesday afternoon, Mr. KALABA explains that KACHASU Brewing has been there and cannot be ignored for being one of the main sources of income for some people. He adds that government should emulate countries like Uganda, who have benefited from this sector by formalizing it. Meanwhile, Mr. KALABA has condemned the act by Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary NKOMBO's way of enforcing the law, acknowledging that while the act of KACHASU Brewing is illegal, no human deserves such kind of treatment. More in this report.
What started as a normal operation day within his mandate, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, has become a hot topic of the day in Zambia. KACHASU Brewing is an illegality that has stood the test of time, with no hope of phasing out despite many attempts by the authority to do so. This distillation industry is big and exists in almost all provinces, with the famous being Chivolia Compound in Lusaka, Kalea in Mazabuka Southern Province, among other areas. Tuesday, an attempt to stop this illegality in Lusaka's Garden Compound has resulted in many theories, of which some can be adopted. An opposition Democratic Party President, HICHILEMA, visited Garden Compound and says government needs to educate KACHASU brewers and hopefully formalize the sector.
One of the things that the government should consider seeing how they can work with these same illegal distillers of KACHASU and see how they can make them legal. In Uganda, there was a beer called Waraji. Waraji is like KACHASU. And the government worked with the people like these ones here to begin making them. They formed cooperatives to begin making some alcohol which was legitimate. Today, Waraji in Uganda, Waraji is sold in ShopRite. Waraji is sold at the various markets, various business outlets. It's because government worked with them. Our government should be proactive. They should begin working with these people, begin making them legal. They will even start getting money from them. Yes. So they need to be taken through stages by stages, because KACHASU has been around for a very long time. So we need to see how well we can work within the law to make KACHASU become a product that cannot be frowned upon.
Mr. KALABA, however, acknowledges that KACHASU Brewing is illegal, but notes that the minister's conduct towards that family was brutal.
The minister's conduct was not only, the minister's conduct was not right. I think it was very brutal. I think that kind of behavior was inhuman and very barbaric, to say the least. Such should not be done. Bantu beswaba. Mabanga tule batitikisha. Istwala kwisa. Twala kwisa. Abaye bantu utira kumbe kalika punishment balondolo la process. Twachipiri okuba. Bantu na bena. Bautira ngabayishi lefa kwiro kwikana na bantu. Tabakano ukana iyo. Ufa pensha utira bena swingira mu abantu bawo. So it's important that our government they should do this thing within the framework of bringing everybody on board.
Meanwhile, KACHASU brewing was ongoing as usual 24 hours after the raid. Clearly, it will take a lot to clear this industry.
Vamina chita kulivana masiye kuliwa chani. Jamine tima sungira bana ise. Tima shita kwa office work. Tilipe vili bonse. Jama metima jera ko ise. Kulima buto kulumani wamela chikia zona. Kulimwana ali hapa stizo kutali kwanji. Hata kutaka mwamanzi basa azezereka. So wampeleka. Ndio na mwana wenyewe kamanzi meka penanyosha kwa.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
And in a related development, the women's movement has described the act by local government and rural development minister Gary NKOMBO of forcing a woman in Lusaka's garden compound to drink the illicit brew commonly known as KACHASU as barbaric. Addressing the media in Lusaka Wednesday, non-governmental gender organizations coordinating Council NGOCC board chairperson Mary Mulenga notes that the act of compelling the woman and her children to take the illicit spirit amounts to human rights violations. Meanwhile, Lundazi Member of Parliament Brenda Nyirenda has joined calls condemning the act by the minister, describing it as inhuman. Details in this report.
They say two wrongs don't make a right. The act of forcing a woman and her children to take the illicit distilled alcohol, commonly known as KACHASU, has attracted voices from many stakeholders who have described the act as a violation of human rights. The women's movement Wednesday could not hold back but critique the cabinet minister for his actions. Though Mr. NKOMBO has publicly apologized, the damage seems to be more than his words. Mary Mulenga spoke on behalf of the women's movement.
The conduct of the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Honorable Gary NKOMBO. As the women's movement, we are disappointed with the conduct of the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Honorable Gary NKOMBO, in the manner he humiliated and mistreated the woman, KACHASU brewer, and her family. We have watched in awe how a senior cabinet minister would humiliate and torture a defenseless woman who had already surrendered and at that moment lost everything. While we do not condone lawlessness, and I underline, we do not condone lawlessness, and the brewing of the illicit KACHASU, we find the behavior of the minister to force the woman and her children to drink the brew as total abuse.
Mrs. Mulenga also touched on the mobile money booth operator who has been missing for quite some time, urging the authority to find the victim.
Therefore, deeply concerned with the security situation of our country, especially in the case of Pamela, who is yet to be found 2 weeks on. While appreciating the efforts that the police are putting in place, we appeal to them to expedite the investigations into the missing girl. As the women's movement, we commiserate with the family of Pamela and others who may be in similar circumstances.
Meanwhile, Lundazi Member of Parliament Brenda Nyirenda is saddened by this development.
I want to outrightly condemn what the Minister of Local Government did to that poor woman. Worst of all, he went on to ask her to bring her children forth, and they were forced to drink the illicit beer. Worst of all, they even got the girl child, forced the illicit beer on that child. Gary has been a member of Parliament for 20 years and more. In his constituency, that is the headquarters of KACHASU Brewing. Why didn't he first start doing that in Mazabuka?
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
And local government and rural development minister Gary NKOMBO has apologized to the woman and her children whom he forced to take a locally brewed illicit alcoholic beverage called KACHASU. Mr. NKOMBO has told the media in Lusaka Wednesday that he has reflected upon his actions. He says the action was disproportionate to the effort of correcting a wrong on his part, thereby taking full responsibility.
Society. And because of that, my engagement with the press today is firstly to tender an apology. To tender an apology to the lady who we tried to contact this morning by way of bringing her to me to speak with her about the trauma that may have been caused by my emotional action of having them to test the illegal KACHASU which they've been brewing. And I would like to state that I am very sorry and I seek their forgiveness. I have searched my soul. I have reflected deeply around my action of inducing the said brewer and her children, who are not children, by the way, to taste and drink the harmful traditional alcohol.
New Heritage Party President Shalakateka has called on President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA to grant the lifting of the oath of secrecy on the Director of Public Prosecutions DPP so as to put an end to the ongoing debate concerning her office. In an interview, Party President Ms. Kateka says the move will also enhance transparency in the United Party for National Development UPND administration in its fight for accountability. Director of Public Prosecutions Lilian Siyunyi has sought clearance from the head of state to defend herself in a matter she is accused of granting immunity to former Konkola Copper Mines KCM provisional liquidator Milingo Lungo. More in this report.
The topic of the Director of Public Prosecutions DPP Lilian Siyunyi entering a nolle prosequi in a matter involving former Konkola Copper Mines liquidator Milingo Lungu on charges of theft and money laundering has sparked a lot of debate among stakeholders. Divergent views have also emerged over his alleged granting of immunity, with the head of state distancing himself from the issue of Mr. Lungu having been granted immunity. Various sectors of society have been demanding for the resignation of the DPP on moral grounds. In a letter dated 25th April 2022 addressed to the Judicial Complaints Commission, the DPP has indicated that she is seeking clearance from the head of state for the oath of secrecy to be lifted so that she can clear herself from the allegations. The New Heritage Party feels that this should be granted so as to clear the existing debate. Party President Mr. Shalakateka was speaking to Camnet News.
Because the nation has been asking a lot of questions in a story that seems to leave more questions than answers. As people explain, more questions are raised than answers. And for us to know the truth, we believe that, look, the DPP has her side to say. She's got a story to tell. And it would be very, very beneficial for the sake of the nation if the president allows her oath of secrecy to be lifted. You see, should he not agree to that, more questions will be raised and more doubt will be cast on the stories that we have been given so far.
Meanwhile, Third Liberation Movement Party President Mr. Enoch Tonga has also added his voice.
What good is there if this so-called oath of secrecy is done to protect crooks and criminals? What good is there if this so-called oath of secrecy is done to allow politicians holding public office to cut deals with the crooks? It is totally unacceptable. Mind you, that these individuals holding public political offices, they are there to protect the interest of the people of Zambia.
Stakeholders are eager to see how the case will end, as some expressed that the matter will be a test of the new administration's fight against irregularities. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Zambians for Sustainable Development ZUSD President Lazarus Chisela says increasing production in the country is key to achieving the desired economic stability the country needs. In an interview, Mr. Chisela explains that despite the United Party for National Development UPND administration expressing hope of reviving the economy in anticipation of the International Monetary Fund IMF bailout loan, no change will be witnessed without investing in production. He has also challenged the party in government to give a clear breakdown on how it intends to reduce the cost of living.
This is why we must be very careful on that one, because what we need in Zambia, what I expect from the President of Zambia to look at is production. Now, what are the main areas of production that the government should look at? Is it producing a pair of shoes? Is it producing a computer? Is it producing, a camera or what? No. We have to look at our comparative advantage. What is our comparative advantage in Zambia? Our comparative advantage is agriculture. When we invest a lot, I expected the president to talk about agriculture. Being a person that have gone from a village where they were concentrating on agriculture, I expected him to talk about that. That's what we have as our comparative advantage. I wanted him to put up a roadmap of how we are going to use agriculture to emancipate Zambia from poverty. Right now, what we have is we are very lucky as Zambians because we already have the structure for agriculture. We have all national services and they have got vast land which we can use for agriculture. This is what I wanted the president to talk about. To say we are going to invest our energy, our effort in agriculture. Because if we invest a lot in agriculture, if this government invests a lot in agriculture, we are going to reduce the price of meal. Immediately reduce the price of food on the table. Then you are creating employment. You are creating, jobs for the other people. You are actually creating job security.
President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA says it is government's expectation that blockages to the development of the private sector will be identified and alleviated on a continuous basis with a public-private dialogue forum now in place. President HICHILEMA says the contribution of the private sector to economic development in the country in past years has been limited by inadequate government's uptake of recommendations from the private sector. The president, who spoke at the launch of the Public-Private Dialogue Forum for Private Sector and Economic Development, says in order to accelerate the country's economic turnaround, there is need for a well-thought-out, evidence-based, responsive and implementable solutions. He says in order to jointly identify challenges that are inhibiting private sector investment, productivity and competitiveness both across the economy and in specific areas is needed. The president has since named Andrew Chipwende as the leader of the secretariat for the PPDF and says other members will be named soon. The Zambia Statistics Agency has indicated that the country's annual inflation rate for the month of April 2022 has slowed down to 11.5 percentage points from 13 points, the one recorded in March this year. Zamstat's interim statistician, General Mulenga Musepa, says the slowdown in the annual inflation rate was mainly attributed to a base effect of both food and non-food items. Mr. Mulenga says Copperbelt Province contributed the highest to the annual inflation rate at 3.2 percentage points, seconded by Lusaka Province, which contributed 3%, while Northwestern and Western provinces had the lowest contribution at 0.5 and 0.4 percentage points, respectively. More in this report.
The road to economic recovery in Zambia starts with a stabilized local currency, lower inflation rate, liquidity in the economy, debt restructuring, affordable prices of goods and services, among other things. While the United Party for National Development administration has an agenda of ensuring that the high cost of living is tabled, the country has begun to record some positive sentiments such as lower inflation rate. The Zambia Statistical Agency Wednesday told the media that the country's inflation rate has further slowed down to 11.5% in the month of April 2022, compared to 13.1% recorded in March of this year.
We have recorded a slowdown of inflation, annual inflation, to 11.5% in April from 14.1% in March 2022. So what we are saying is that the general level of prices increased by 11.5%. The general level of prices increased by 11.5%. However, compared to the previous
Mr. Msepa also informed the media that the local currency appreciated by 20% between April 2021 and April 2022 from 22.11 kwacha per $1 United States dollar to 17.62 kwacha per $1 United States dollar. He says the appreciation of the local currency has contributed to the reduction in the price of vehicles and air tickets.
And recently more of some stability, and that being an import-dependent economy has had some downward price impact on some of the non-food items such as vehicle prices and airline fares.
And Mr. Msepa says the country recorded a trade surplus of 5.98 billion kwacha in March of 2022. A trade surplus means the country exported more than it imported.
Exports, if you break it down into traditional exports, which is mainly copper, both refined and copper concentrates, increased by 6.4% to 14.2 billion in March 2022, while non-traditional exports, mainly comprising oil cake, electrical energy, this is electricity exports, we had to Zimbabwe and Namibia, increased by 18.9% to 4.4 billion in March 2022.
With the launch of the Public-Private Dialogue Forum for Private Sector and Economic Development by President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA, it is hoped that the country's private sector trade will be enhanced, thereby contributing to job creation and the development of the country. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
We'll take our first commercial break. We'll be back for more news after the break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Savenda. Save nations, develop Africa. Connecting African countries to each other and connecting the African continent to the world. This logistics and global supply chain management group offers end-to-end solutions across all sectors of the economy: agriculture, energy, telecommunications, finance, construction, transportation, and insurance. And now, its initiatives are greener than ever, operating in line with government guidelines and working to provide energy security for Zambia and beyond. 25 companies united under one group and one vision. Savenda. Trade and logistics made easy.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Western Province Minister Kapelwa Mbangweta says the forthcoming Provincial Expo will display the existing opportunities and potential that the province holds. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Mbangweta notes that the province will be exposed to the outside world, stating that this will see a reduction in poverty levels, which are currently at 82.2%. The minister discloses that the Western Province is rich in agriculture, tourism, livestock and fisheries. The expo will commence on the 19th to the 25th of September 2022.
We are all excited as the Western Province Provincial Administration and the Western Province Fraternity. Indeed, it's true, this is the first expo for the province. As you remember, in the old order, all other provinces had expos except the Western Province. So, of course, in the new order, this is the first expo for the new Dawn government, and so we expect it to be the best in all respects. In this regard, we would like to thank all our sponsors thus far who have come forward to support us. We also like to indicate that we had a mini expo expedition, the precursor to the main event, which was held in Muonga during the Komboka ceremony from the 8th to the 10th of April. That event was opened by His Excellency the President, Mr. HAKAINDE HICHILEMA, and it was very well supported. We had anticipated that would have in the region of 25 exhibitors, but as it turned out, we were oversubscribed. We had about 42.
A visiting Zambian clergyman based in Swaziland and overseer of Glorious Impact Ministries, Apostle Stone Muluso, says the church needs to pray for healing in the country, having been able to witness the smooth transition of power in the August 12 general election. Apostle Muluso, who is in the country for a series of prayer meetings, is happy that the country managed to have a generally peaceful election. He says the church needs to continue to pray for peace, which he said is a catalyst for the country's well-being. Apostle Muluso will Thursday, 25th April 2022, hold his prayer conference at Healing Word Ministries in Lusaka's Kabulonga area.
We have not been in Zambia for some time now, even during the time that Zambia had gone for elections, but we were following the whole process on social media and some other media platforms. From the look of things, Zambia managed to do the elections without major violent activities, and we actually thank God. And so, Zambia being a Christian nation, now I would love to take this opportunity to actually just call on all believers, all Christians, to continue to pray for the government and to continue to pray for our leaders in the government so that they can take Zambia in the right direction, and of course to also continue to pray for the nation of Zambia so that if there are some places that Zambia needs to heal, so that Zambia can heal, and of course together as one Zambia, one nation, we can continue to move forward.
The Integrated Community Litter Initiative Chairperson Pascal Chikumbi says the Keep Zambia Clean and Green campaign has not served its purpose despite being launched by successive governments. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Chikumbi says that waste management has remained poor. He has since called for enhanced stakeholder cooperation to address plastic pollution. More in the following report.
On the 28th of April 2018, then President Edgar Chagwa Lungu relaunched the Keep Zambia Clean, Green and Healthy campaign with a call to citizens to embrace the initiative. The relaunch of the campaign is aimed at making sites, towns, villages, public institutions and places clean to improve the health standards of all people. There has been a constant call from different stakeholders on the need for the country to manage waste disposal. Despite the Keep Zambia Clean, Green and Healthy campaign being relaunched, the Integrated Community Litter Initiative National Chairperson Pascal Chikombi says the campaign has not been implemented in a manner it should.
The Keep Zambia Clean, Green and Healthy, as you are aware, most of the time has not served its intended purpose, despite government's pronunciations, and many times we've seen a lot of launches and relaunches. And to those who are not aware, this Keep Zambia Clean was first launched by the late Dr. Mwanawasa, may he so rest in peace, in 2007. By then it was Honorable Sylvia Masebo, who was Minister of Local Government and Housing, as it was called. From there we had another relaunch in Chilenje by Dr. Billy, who during the reign of Mr. Sata, may he so rest in peace, who relaunched in Chilenje. And then we had another relaunch by the government, the president himself, in 2018. So when you look at most of the launches that we've witnessed, and some of them that have actually not worked as expected, is that despite all these relaunches and launches, we've not seen significant change in terms of environmental cleanliness.
He states that there is poor waste management in the country.
Just the general public health. Too late and up to now, as you can see, the prevailing situation is that most of those that are within the central business districts of Lusaka and the peri-urban areas, including those other cities which are populated such as Kitwe, the effort of the government, the attempt, the pronouncements of the government has actually not worked as anticipated by most of the general public. And indeed, we've seen other municipalities, other city councils, such as Lusaka City Council, yes, they've been overwhelmed. And indeed, they need to do a lot, because when you look at the city, and generally you look at the accumulation of waste, it is a sad story that a capital city such as Lusaka, which is to be a tourist attraction by virtue of it being a capital city, we're supposed to be to see cleanness.
Zambia remains committed to embrace, promote and maintain a clean, healthy, self-living and working environment to foster prosperity in the nation. Blessings Takwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes, SACCOD, has advised Zambians condemning President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA's alleged bitterness during his address to the nation Monday to be patient and allow the president to heal from the trauma he endured under the Patriotic Front administration. SACCOD Executive Director Boniface Chembe says the venting of the president was normal, as he is human and was reacting like a person who was traumatized. And SACCOD has reiterated its call for the new administration to speed up the enactment of the Access to Information Bill into law, reform the Cybersecurity and Cybercrimes Act and the Public Order Act, among others.
SACCOD supports the approach taken by the president to bury the hatchet by avoiding revenge against any acts done against him and his supporters that may have caused harm. Such an approach is important as it helps bring about forgiveness, which is paramount for reconciliation, as it allows for greater tolerance and coexistence to prevail. Just as may be the case with any Zambian to lament certain ordeals faced when given a particular platform, as this allows for trauma healing, it is equally important to allow and understand the healing process on the part of the president, because he is human. In supporting the position taken by the president as evidenced by his address on his vision on upholding peace, we must ensure that our politics as a nation are not replete with hate speech or violent communication that border on ethnic divisions.
This is Camnet TV and not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, Savenda Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. Savenda Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry. Has so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow.
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
And now in international news, Mali has accused the French army of spying and subversion when it used a drone to film what France alleged was mercenaries burying bodies near a military base. The West African nation's ruling junta, in a statement on Tuesday, said a drone illegally flew over the Gossi base on April 20, the day after French forces handed the site back to Mali. The following day, the French army shared a video it said showed Russian mercenaries covering bodies with sand to falsely accuse the departing troops of war crimes. Meanwhile, Ukraine says that Russia continues to bombard the steelworks in Mariupol, where the last civilians and fighters are holding out from Russian occupation. President Putin has said there are no ongoing attacks on the steelworks and accuses the Ukrainian forces of using civilians as human shields. Russian forces have occupied the rest of Mariupol, and civilians who have fled the city say that Russian soldiers took people from their homes and took them to Russian-controlled towns. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
Mali has accused the French army of spying and subversion when it used a drone to film what France alleged was mercenaries burying bodies near a military base. The West African nation's ruling junta in a statement on Tuesday said a drone illegally flew over the Gossi base on April 20, the day after French forces handed the site back to Mali. The following day, the French army shared a video it said showed Russian mercenaries covering bodies with sand to falsely accuse the departing troops of war crimes. Two soldiers could be seen filming the half-buried corpses. Mali's military have now announced an inquiry into the discovery of a mass grave at the Gossi base. The army says it found the grave the day after the images were published and claimed the body's advanced stage of putrefaction ruled out Malian soldiers' responsibility. France, Mali's former colonial power, is winding down its almost decade-long anti-jihadist military operation in Mali. But in February, it decided to pull out its troops after falling out with the military junta, especially over its rapprochement with the Kremlin.
Harvard University, one of the most prestigious universities in the world, announced on Tuesday the creation of a $100 million fund with an ambition to repair its slave-owning past in the 17th and 18th centuries. The announcement made in a letter from University President Lawrence Baker to students, faculty and staff at the institution, founded in 1636 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, is part of a broad university movement in recent years to recognize and make amends for slavery in the United States, which was officially abolished by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution in December 1865. Harvard will dedicate the money to a fund to support research, education, and thesis on racism and slavery from the 17th and 19th centuries. In 2021, the U.S. Jesuits Priest Conference also pledged to raise a similar amount in restitution to descendants of slaves it had exploited. And in 2016, Georgetown Jesuit University apologized for the sale of 272 slaves in 1838, offering compensation to facilitate the admission of their descendants.
Smoke billows from the giant Azovstal steelworks. Ukraine says Russia continues to bombard the plant despite saying it wouldn't. The controversial nationalist Azov regiment, which defends the facility, posted this video of an injured woman online. It says up to 1,000 civilians are trapped in the Azovstal bunkers. But President Putin insists there are no ongoing attacks and accuses Ukrainian soldiers of using civilians as human shields. The United Nations is calling for humanitarian access to Mariupol. Katerina escaped the city with her husband and 2 children. The youngest, Anna, is 2 years old. They braved Russian checkpoints to get to Ukrainian-held territory.
At the first checkpoint, the man there pointed his gun at us and wasn't letting us through until he saw that there was a child with us. It was frightening. I thought that that was it for us.
Talia left Mariupol a month ago. She hopes her home still stands despite the shelling. An increasing number of residents, like Natalia, say Russian soldiers forced them out of their homes and took them to towns they controlled. She remembers the moment she and 100 of her neighbors were found hiding in a bunker.
I realized that something bad was going to happen at that moment. After that, everything collapsed. All my hopes collapsed. I realized that those were the people that I did not invite, did not expect, and did not want to come.
Natalia and her husband are now living in central Ukraine. She says Russian controls weren't too strict and they hitchhiked from a town called Primorsky. Katerina and her family are also safe, living in a shelter for now. But she tells me it's hard to believe the hell they've all been through. Just listen to that. Peace and quiet. A massive relief for families that have spent night after night under heavy shelling. But the volunteers here tell us that the number of people coming through their doors has fallen because of the siege on Mariupol and the fact that people can't get out. They're likely spending another night under heavy bombardment. Catherine Biarahanga, BBC News, Zaporizhia.
It's now time for sports news. Jurgen Klopp's quadruple chasing side, Liverpool, will travel to Southampton on the 17th of May, 3 days after their FA Cup final against Chelsea. They end the league season against Wolves at Anfield on 22nd May. Title rivals and leaders Manchester City face West Ham at the London Stadium on the 15th of May before finishing at home to Aston Villa also on the 22nd. City's rearranged fixture from April sees them play Wolves away on 11 May, meaning they face 3 league games in 7 days. Liverpool's match against Southampton was rearranged after they secured their place in the FA Cup final at Wembley on the 14th of May. This season's Carabao Cup winners trail City by just 1 point in the Premier League with 5 games remaining. Both sides are still in contention to challenge for the Champions League crown, with the final taking place after the Premier League season ends on the 28th of May. Camnet Stars have beaten PSA by 2-0 in the FAR's Zone 2 Week 20 Under-19 League. In an interview with Camnet Sports, Camnet Stars assistant coach Maybin Walia says the boys played well both in the first half and second half. Walia adds that the team has so far demonstrated great performance.
Today the boys have played again. We have continued winning and winning. They played well in the first half and also in the second half. We beat the opponents 2-0. They also played well, especially in the second half. They could have replied, they had chances, but they couldn't make it. So we are looking now forward to the next game next week. This week, Saturday this week.
We had a nice game, PSA versus Camnet, and we've lost. It's 2-0. No, but we had the pressure. First half, second half we did well as well. So I expect next time to do better. And now we've rejoiced the game of today. I'm so glad because I can see that there are 3 or 5 boys that are doing fine. Next time we'll do better than this. And next time I expect a win at this home ground, their home ground.
I just want to appreciate the game. The game was good, and the opponent are quite good well, and we have a great team. And we appreciate we managed to get the 3 points by winning 2 goals. So give thanks to that.
To end Camnet Television News, the headlines once again. NKOMBO apologizes as Harry KALABA urges government to formalize KACHASU brewing. President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA challenged to lift the oath of secrecy of the DPP. 8 suspects nabbed over the abduction of a mobile money agent PAMELA CHISUMPA. In international news, Mali accuses France of spying over drone footage of mass graves. And in sports news, Liverpool to play twice in the final week of the Premier League. We'll now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from the book of 1 John chapter 5, verse 14 to 15. Now, this is the confidence we have before him. Whenever we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears whatever we ask, we know that we have what we have asked of him. Thank you for watching Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Have a good night.